Hello, my name is Terry Berry and I work with Escambia County, and I'm very excited to tell you about a current project we're working on called West Roberts Road Pond. It's one of the 11 Mile Creek Regional Basin Stormwater Pond projects that was part of our Restore Act. First, I want to introduce the county team. As I said, my name is Terry Berry and I'm the project manager. We also have Matt Posner, who's our Restore program manager. Matt's going to be responsible for all the funding and restore and grant issues with the project, and I'm going to be handling all the day-to-day activities. We've hired Mike McDonald as our consultant to help us with the design, and Stephen White is our project engineer that's going to be doing the design work for us. First, let me tell you a little bit about the project funding. This funding is actually coming from the Deepwater Horizon oil spill that was the lead passage from the Restore Act in 2012. This act dedicates 80% of all the clean water penalties related to the spill to the Gulf Coast Restoration Trust Fund. Escambia County selected the 11 Mile Creek Regional Basin Stormwater Ponds project as one of 10 initial projects to fund with Escambia County's Restore Direct Component Pot 1 allocation. The West Roberts Road Pond is one of the 13 regional ponds that we'll be working on. The project goals of this project is to help provide flood attenuation. We also want to improve water quality, and we want to have a direct positive impact on 11 Mile Creek and Perdido Bay. We also want to look into reducing flooding of property. The project's already been started for a few months, and here are some things that we've done so far. Task 1 through 4, which consist of topo, wetland delineations, and geotech explorations already completed. Our designs are at 90%, and permitting is going to be upcoming in the next few weeks. And with this, I'm going to hand it over to Steve so he can tell you a little bit more about the design.
Thank you, Terry. What you see here is a overall exhibit showing the basin that is going to be served by this proposed stormwater pond. As you can see, the overall basin is approximately 90.247 acres and includes land north of West Roberts Road and just south of Kingsfield. Continues south to Western Pines Road and has a stormwater pond located between Twisted Oak Drive and Millet Circle within the Quail Ridge subdivision. This overall landmass is actually broken into 5 separate subbasins, 4 of which currently have stormwater ponds in them. However, the bulk of the landmass, 69.335 acres, actually currently contributes stormwater runoff to 11 Mile Creek without any form of stormwater treatment before it discharges into the creek. This project will collect the stormwater runoff from these areas and route them through a stormwater pond for treatment prior to subsequent discharge into 11 Mile Creek. As Terry mentioned, one of the overriding goals of this project is actually to improve water quality of 11 Mile Creek. We have run some preliminary estimates as to what benefit this project might provide to 11 Mile Creek, and up in the upper left-hand corner, you'll see a synopsis of that. And the takeaway here is that we'll be removing approximately 92.59% of the pollutant load going into 11 Mile Creek from this landmass. More particularly, looking at about 178 pounds of nitrogen every year being removed, 27.25 pounds of phosphorus being removed, 517 pounds of biochemical oxygen demand elements that tend to remove the available oxygen in the water column, as well as 1,905 pounds of suspended solids, which currently are being discharged into 11 Mile Creek each year. Here we show the overall area of the proposed improvements. We actually start at the Dogleg Bend on West Roberts Road. We continue south to Western Pines Road and actually along the majority of Western Pines Road with improvements. We will be placing a dry retention pond between Twisted Oak Drive and Millet Circle and be providing a discharge mechanism to 11 Mile Creek from that stormwater pond. We are looking at the north end of the project area now, right at the dog leg in West Roberts Road. This location will actually be tying on to the existing stormwater system that is in place on West Roberts Road and currently discharges through an earthen ditch that continues on to 11 Mile Creek. We'll be tying on to an existing structure and converting that structure to a diversion structure, meaning that initial flows will be redirected south along West Roberts Road. However, there will be a weir provided in this structure so that in higher flow events that the system may not be able to convey, it will actually be allowed to continue to discharge through the earthen ditch to 11 Mile Creek as it has historically done at this location. We'll also be adding inlets along this portion of West Roberts Road, particularly within the existing concrete ditch that is on the west side of the road. One of the main factors we want to bring out on this segment is actually the existing oak trees that line this portion of West Roberts Road. The county and Mott MacDonald are both very sensitive to these very nice trees, and as a means of limiting impact to those trees, we have opted to place the stormwater pipe below the southbound travel lane, as opposed to trying to put that in the right of way, which would require removal of some of these trees, if not the majority of them. Moving a little bit further on West Roberts Road, we are still in an area where there are some very nice specimen oak trees. And again, we have opted to maintain the alignment with the stormwater pipe under the southbound travel lane to limit impacts to this. At this location, the existing concrete ditch actually starts to discharge out of the right of way. We will be placing inlets, as I've said before, in this ditch line to try to keep that water from discharging out of the right of way. There will be a retrofit of that ditch line to provide it with an emergency weir so that in higher flow events, again, the water will be able to flow over and continue to discharge through that ditch line as it has historically done, but it should be at a much reduced rate and frequency. We will again be putting stormwater inlets along this segment of West Roberts Road. One area in particular would like to bring to your attention is the existing stormwater pond along the south side of Crestfield Circle. We will be extending a system to that pond and putting a new discharge structure within it to provide that with a positive drainage to the main trunk line of the proposed system going in. At the very bottom of this page, you will see where the main trunk line exits the right of way, and that is going into the proposed stormwater pond site. This would be the south end of West Roberts Road and Western Pines Drive. Again, here we just show that we are placing inlets along both sides of Western Pines Road, providing inlets along both sides of West Roberts Road as well. There will be some grading done here as well as other areas along this this whole project route to place swales to collect the stormwater directed to those inlets. One thing to note here is we are now showing the main trunk lines being outside of the extents of the asphalt. That's because we have gotten into portions of the project where there are considerably fewer trees which would be impacted by placing the facilities in the right of way, and that represents a cost savings to the project as a whole. This will be the proposed stormwater pond. It is a dry retention pond, as I've mentioned previously. This pond is going to require extensive excavation in this area as a means to reduce the amount of material that we have to subsequently haul off, which would add cost to the project. We are opting to use a portion of that material to actually fill the easterly portions of the pond parcel and providing a flat area along the frontage to West Roberts Road. This area in the future could be used for a beneficial purpose by Escambia County. The stormwater pond will be provided with a discharge structure and pipe system to convey discharges from the stormwater pond to 11 Mile Creek. There will be a new outfall placed in the stormwater pond at the west end of Twisted Oak Drive. And that discharge structure will be brought into this discharge system as well. Should be noted that the stormwater pond is going to be impounded on the west end. It will be impounded approximately 7 feet above existing grade. However, the elevation at the top of that impoundment is going to be very close to the elevation of the rear yards of the adjacent residential properties. We did that intentionally so that we would not have an impoundment of stormwater above the adjacent properties. Finally, there will be an emergency concrete spillway installed over that impoundment so that in higher flow events, if the pond's capacity is going to be exceeded, we provide a mechanism to convey those flows in a controlled manner with the hope to limit the potential for the possibility of erosion. And lastly, we show the route of the proposed discharge from the stormwater pond to 11 Mile Creek. And this will be going across IP's property through the existing Gulf Power easement and ultimately to the bank of 11 Mile Creek. The location of this discharge was actually selected due to an existing gully erosion that has occurred along the bank of 11 Mile Creek. By placing this pipe into this area, it allows us to convey discharges from the stormwater pond while limiting any potential for surface erosion as a result of stormwater runoff. But it also provides us with the opportunity to fill the existing erosion and to stabilize that, again, as an added benefit to 11 Mile Creek.
Well, we hope you enjoy this update. And if you've got any questions or comments, please send me an email at terry_berry@myexcambia.com. Thank you.